Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, on this daily tech podcast, we discuss all the usual tech trends, but what I try to do a little bit different is dig deeper than those buzzwords and see how they're actually transforming businesses in multiple industries. For example, if I was to say the words artificial intelligence, you might initially groan and say something like its capabilities are exaggerated right now, or where are the use cases? Show me something real right now, not just something built on future promises. But when I read a recent Adobe report that has found that European brands are all turning to artificial intelligence as they battle to make sense of their data and deliver more relevant, personalised customer experiences, while also staying on the right side of GDPR, I felt incredibly intrigued and had to find out more. So I asked them to come on the show and explain what they found in this report today, and thankfully they said yes. Now, the fact that one of the results was 88% of businesses expect to be using AI for increased personalisation by 2020 really captured my attention and imagination, because let's face it, we're weeks away from ending 2018, which means that that's only pretty much a year away. There are so many great takeaways in the report, but rather than talk about them here, buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to London here in the UK so we can speak with Bridget Perry, EMEA VP of Marketing at Adobe. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Bridget. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, Neil. It's great to be on the show. So I am responsible for Adobe's marketing in Europe. It's a role that I recently took on. And essentially that encompasses all of Adobe's business, from all of our Creative Cloud and Document Cloud solutions, as well as our digital experience business. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we jump into the topic of AI.
Fantastic. Now, one of the reasons I invited you on today was Adobe Research has found that European brands are increasingly turning to artificial intelligence as they battle to make sense of this deluge of data that they've got and actually deliver more relevant, personalised customer experiences while staying on the right side of GDPR at the same time. So can you tell me a little bit more about this report and why you felt that this discovery exercise was so important?
Sure. Well, I think that today the world around us is changing. The business context has shifted, and customers expect that the brands that they do business with know who they are, anticipate what they want, and can deliver a seamless experience across the entire customer journey, across every touch point and device. And so what we wanted to understand was, how were brands responding to this challenge, and how were brands leveraging AI to deliver more personalized experiences, especially in light of GDPR in Europe and some of the other countries that are impacted by that regulation. Is it slowing brands down? What are they doing to respond? And so that's essentially what we undertook with this report.
And AI is a huge buzzword in 2018. And for many people, they may just think that it's a buzzword. But one of the main reasons I invited you on today as well was to talk about how businesses are actually embracing it and actually making the most of it and leveraging this technology. And in the report, I believe you asked 600 senior business decision makers right across Europe. And there were some pretty mouth-watering stats, such as I think one of them was 89% of businesses see personalisation as important for their success. But then more revealing is only 31% are currently delivering that level of personalisation that they deem necessary. I mean, did those contrasting stats surprise you? And what is it that you think that's holding them back?
Well, it's interesting. I'd say from a consumer perspective, yes, it did surprise me, right? Yeah. I think, many of us are customers of Amazon, and we've known that the efforts underway, or Netflix, right? There's been efforts underway for a number of years to provide recommendations and more personalization in terms of knowing who we are and anticipating what we want. And so yeah, I was surprised to see that so few brands felt like they were along that path after so many years. But I have to say that from a professional point of view, right, being a marketing leader, working in a large company, I actually really appreciate that statistic. It's not easy. The stuff is hard. I'd say that data is really the biggest challenge. And, especially in Europe and other countries that are impacted by GDPR. right? That has added a new dimension, and in some cases added a bit more complexity to the challenge of being able to leverage artificial intelligence to provide more personalized experience.
And as well, I think nearly half, 49% of respondents, says the EU's new data protection regulation had further slowed their AI implementation down. There's a lot of nervousness around that. And it feels like a combination of the hefty GDPR fines and achieving personalisation without being creepy, that's actually holding them back. I mean, how are brands overcoming these fears and finding that right balance?
Well, I would say that, brands, as we noted in the survey, have taken a pause and are really trying to make sure that they are taking the right approach to gathering data and using data to deliver the right experience to consumers. We saw this in the data. It's not stopping brands. I mean, we see that many of them are already planning and testing and planning to roll out personalization use cases or better experiences, right? But they're not there yet. And I'd say that, with GDPR, it's been the positive side of GDPR is that brands now are being more mindful of getting their data in order and ensuring that the right protections are in place which is ultimately what their consumers prefer, right, and expect.
And there does seem to be a growing focus on hiring and training as businesses gear up for this world of artificial intelligence, with 70% of brands training their existing staff and 69% hiring new skilled staff. I mean, can you expand on those revelations?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that as the race towards AI goes on, more and more companies are realizing that they need to not only bring in new talent with skills in data analytics, data science, but they also realize that the competition for that talent is so high. We hear stories such as newly minted, individuals from universities with data science backgrounds are making upwards of $500,000 between salary and other types of compensation. And so that's not, it's not tenable, right? The talent market is tight. And so more and more brands are also investing in retraining their own employees. And what I would say, too, is that companies like Adobe are developing technology that is embedded in our own solutions and tools, whereby, the training really is about how to use those solutions and tools, right? So by doing so, brands are able to leverage artificial intelligence to deliver a personalized experience without having to develop their own algorithms. And so that is something that as the industry starts to mature and evolve, more and more companies like Adobe will be providing this within the solutions, as well as making packaged algorithms available that brands can just leverage and put to work. So there's a combination of things going, but there is a real business case and effort underway for brands to retrain employees to be able to move faster into this AI era.
And if we do have a business leader listening to us today thinking that AI is just a buzzword or it's just more tech hype, there's another stat that I feel I've got to share, which is 88% of businesses expect to be using AI for increased personalisation by 2020. And bearing in mind, we're going to hit 2019 in just a few months. That's an incredible stat, isn't it? I mean, does that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, especially given the gap that we saw earlier in terms of only 31% really feeling like they're getting it right. But, at the same time, as we talked about in the research earlier, we're seeing so many brands already doing something. So it's not that they're not doing something. It's just that they're not meeting their own expectation. I think our research pointed that 88% are either planning or testing or rolling out some new initiatives. And so I think brands feel like they have to move fast in this area. If they don't move fast, they're going to feel they'll feel behind, right? And they have the potential of becoming irrelevant. And so, I think that given that, there really is a rush right now in the marketplace to make advancements here. And, I think it's going to be interesting to see how quickly this AI becomes adopted in the enterprise and how quickly we start to see more and more examples of this in the experiences that we encounter with the brands that we do business with.
I also read a great post from Adobe earlier this year, which began, Alexa, where can I learn from the world's leading brands? And it's a great article. So, but for people that haven't read that, can you just tell me a little bit more about how you see the voice search landscape evolving? And is voice the next frontier, in your opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, voice is both an incredible opportunity as well as a real potential disruptor. And one of the articles that I was also somewhat inspired by, and found very interesting was an article called Marketing in the Age of Alexa that was published in HBR recently by an author by the name of Niraj Dawar. And really the main premise here is that voice and voice search and those platforms like Alexa and like Siri have the potential of being the primary interface with consumers. And so what does that mean, right? What does that mean for brands? It means that brands actually have to begin to embrace voice and begin to look at voice as a channel or a medium to just as many other channels exist today, to be able to provide a connected experience and one that's differentiated to their consumers. If they don't do this, right, they risk losing that loyalty and losing the business of the consumer. And there is this potential that voice search and those voice platforms will begin to take over that role of being a support and assistant and providing that personalized recommendation to consumers. And so I think brands need to be vigilant, right? They need to be starting to look at voice, make the right investments in voice, and turn to companies like Adobe that can help them as they navigate the experience that their consumers are having through the voice channel.
So if we do have anyone listening today that wants to find out more about the report, where can they find more information?
Oh, sure. So the good news is that we're releasing the report tomorrow. It's called Context is Everything, and you can find it on adobe.com.
Fantastic. As we began this conversation, we were talking about these consumer-centric trends and how we've just got used to being personalised on Netflix and Amazon and so many other areas. But it's fascinating to see how it's now entering the world of business, and the business world is catching up. And it's not just tech hype, and it's not just a buzzword. This is real-world adoption, real-world use cases, and it's coming much sooner than many businesses realise. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing that report with me today.
Thank you so much, Neil. It was a pleasure.
So many big stats in that report. Although 89% of businesses see personalisation as important for success, only 31% are currently delivering that level of personalisation that they deem necessary. And that's probably built by their own expectations in the home. And by contrast, 88% of businesses expect to be using AI for increased personalisation by 2020. And it seems to me that businesses know exactly what they need to do. And what I find really interesting is it's that our lifestyle as consumers that is driving this change rather than big businesses. Because Netflix knows what we want to watch, Spotify knows what album we want to check out and listen to, and Amazon knows what we want to buy. Now those three simple examples have set our expectation level quite high. And we carry that with us everywhere that we go now. And that age-old phrase, well, if we can put a man on the moon, well, that's now been replaced by, well, if Amazon can do it, and Spotify can do it, and Netflix can do it, why can't your company? This is the reality facing so many businesses. A lot of big talking points here, and I'd love to hear your input, your challenges, your insights, and how you're intending to deliver personalised experiences and embracing artificial intelligence. And if you'd like to come on the show and show a different side of the story, I'll gladly invite you on too. And you can contact me, techblogwriter at outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. Or if you don't like typing, pop by my website, techblogwriter.co.uk/podcasts. You'll find a nice red button where you can record a virtual voicemail. Unfortunately, though, artificial intelligence can't edit all my podcasts together just yet, so I'm going to go and catch up on my editing duties in my one-man band here. But I'll return back tomorrow with another guest talking about how technology is transforming their industry. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.